let's jump right into it. The Premier League transfer rumors, they never really stop, do they?
No, not really. The January window just closed, like, what, a week ago? And already everyone's buzzing about summer moves.
Exactly. And it's not just random gossip. Some of these stories could actually shake things up in the league. So we're going to break down some of the most interesting ones today, the ones that could have a real impact, you know?
Right. It's like everyone's always trying to get a leg up, figuring out their squads, where they need to strengthen.
Exactly. So let's start with Arsenal. They kind of decided not to sign a forward back in January.
Yeah, and now with this Havertz injury, potentially out for the season, hamstring I think it was, that lack of depth could really come back to bite them.
Big time. Especially, you know, if Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli are still out too, they need some firepower up front to keep up their momentum for the title race.
Totally. They need goals. And it doesn't look like they're going for any quick fixes with free agents or anything.
Nope. All signs point to them going all in for Alexander Isak in the summer. He's been called Arteta's dream signing. But prying him away from Newcastle, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, Newcastle's not going to let him go easily, especially if they get Champions League football next season. Plus, they've got the cash. They can offer him a really sweet deal.
But then you've got Paul Scholes, right? Former Manchester United legend. He says Isak is destined for a bigger club, like Real Madrid or Liverpool. What do you think about that? Is Scholes right? Is Arsenal just not on that level yet?
It's interesting because Scholes is kind of pointing to something real, right? Arsenal's struggled to compete with those giant clubs, especially financially. It's a real test for them, trying to convince a player like Isak that they can match his ambitions.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Arsenal. Now let's talk about another Premier League giant, Liverpool. And this one's a bit of a shocker, really.
Oh, yeah. This Dejan Lovren comment about Salah. Closer to leaving than staying, he said. And Salah's contract is running out. He can talk to other clubs. It's kind of wild.
And the rumors are saying Al Hilal, that Saudi club, they're already sniffing around, seeing if they can get him. So could Salah actually be tempted to leave Anfield? For that Saudi money?
The money's insane, that's for sure. But would he really leave Liverpool, a club where he's a legend? That's the question.
It makes you think, right? About what players really value these days. Is it trophies or is it all about the money now?
It's complicated. Every player's different. But there's no doubt that these leagues with crazy money, like in Saudi Arabia, they're changing the game.
For sure. Okay, so while some clubs are dealing with this uncertainty, you've got Manchester United. They've already made their first signing for the summer. Geovany Quenda from Sporting CP. £50 million.
They really wanted him last summer, but couldn't get the deal done. This time, they weren't messing around.
Yeah, they were determined. And Quenda, he's one to watch, really exciting young player, but we'll talk about him more in a bit. For now, let's move on to Chelsea. They've been pretty quiet recently, but they have made one interesting signing. Not a big-name star, but a young talent. Dastan Satpaev, 16 years old.
And he won't even join them until 2026, when he turns 18. It shows you how Chelsea is thinking long-term, you know? Investing in these young guys, even if it takes a while to see the results.
It's pretty smart, actually. They're spending tons of money on big names, but also building for the future. It's like they're playing a different game than everyone else. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how Chelsea's approaching things. But let's go back to Arsenal for a second. If Isak is really Arteta's dream signing, what are the chances they can actually get him?
Honestly, I think it's a long shot. Newcastle, they hold all the cards, don't they?
Yeah.
Isak seems happy there, and if they make the Champions League, well, that just makes it even harder for Arsenal.
Yeah, for sure. And Arsenal, I mean, they really need a striker, especially now with Havertz out. So what else could they do if they can't get Isak? What other options are out there?
Well, there's been some talk about Diogo Jota maybe moving from Liverpool to Arsenal. He's versatile. He could do well in Arteta's system, I think.
Oh yeah, Jota. He's a good player. But wouldn't he be expensive? And would Liverpool even want to sell him?
Yeah, those are the big questions, really. He's been important for them. Okay, now let's go back to Mo Salah for a minute. This whole thing with Lovren saying he's leaving, it's got everyone talking. Is there any way Liverpool actually lets him go?
I mean, he's a legend there, but he's also, 31?
Yeah. And Liverpool, they've made tough decisions before, even with popular players.
True, but Salah, I mean, he's still world class. Losing him would be huge for them, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But at the end of the day, football is a business, right? If someone offers them crazy money for him, they might have to think about it, especially if they don't think they can re-sign him.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's tough. Okay, let's switch gears to Manchester United now. They got Geovany Quenda, like we said. What's the deal with this kid? Why were they so keen on him?
Well, he's a really special talent. Attacking midfielder, amazing dribbling skills, sees passes that nobody else sees. He's still young, but he could be a superstar.
Sounds like they're thinking long term with this one.
Definitely. It's not just about winning now, it's about building for the future. And speaking of the future, let's talk about Chelsea again. They signed that 16-year-old Satpaev. He won't even play for them for 3 years.
Yeah, it's wild. What's the thinking behind that? Like, why sign someone so young?
Well, it's about spotting talent early. Chelsea has these scouts all over the world finding these amazing young players, and they're basically saying, we want him, even if we have to wait.
So they're kind of locking him in before he becomes a huge star and everyone wants him.
Exactly. It's smart. They're not just reacting to the market, they're trying to control it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of big clubs, but what about a team that's been kind of quiet lately, like Tottenham? Any juicy rumors about them?
Well, I did see something about Moises Keane. Remember him? Played for Everton a while back. Didn't really work out, but they're apparently interested in bringing him back to the Premier League.
Keane. Yeah, he had a rough time at Everton, didn't he? Didn't quite settle in. So has he gotten any better since then? Or is Tottenham taking a big risk here?
He's definitely improved. Playing for Fiorentina now in Italy, and he's scoring goals. The thing is, he's got this release clause in his contract. It's not too crazy, price-wise. So for a team like Tottenham, it might be a good deal.
Yeah, I guess it could be if he can like find his form again. But sometimes it's just some players just don't fit in certain leagues. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, let's switch to defense now. Any rumors about clubs looking for defenders?
Actually, yeah, Chelsea. Even though they spent like £1 billion last summer, it seems like they're still looking. There's talk about them going after Dean Hujsen from Bournemouth.
Hujsen, yeah, he's been playing well for Bournemouth. What's Chelsea seen in him? What's so special?
She's solid, good center back, strong in the air, reads the game well. He's been a big reason why Bournemouth's defense has been so tough this season. And I think Chelsea, they might be thinking about the future, a long-term replacement for Thiago Silva.
Yeah, that makes sense. It shows you that even the rich clubs, they're still looking for value. They're not just throwing money at every big name. So, okay, we've talked about a lot of specific players, but stepping back for a second, what is all this transfer activity? What does it tell us about the Premier League as a whole?
It just shows how competitive it is. Every single club, they're trying to get better all the time, signing big stars, finding young talent. It's constant.
Yeah, like everyone's in this arms race, but
Okay.
with footballers instead of weapons.
Oh. Exactly. The stakes are so high. Champions League, the Premier League title, all that money. It all comes down to having the right players.
And for us fans, it's just fun to watch. All the rumors, the speculation, the drama. It never ends, does it?
It's part of what makes the Premier League so exciting. Even when there aren't any games, there's always something to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for our deep dive into the Premier League transfer world. We've looked at the rumors, the strategies, what it all means. But like you said, this is just a snapshot. Things change so fast.
Oh, yeah. More twists and turns to come, I'm sure. Surprises, disappointments, all that, right up until the window closes.
So keep your eyes peeled, everyone. Don't just read the headlines, Think about them. What do you think? What makes sense?
Exactly. Make your own judgments. That's what makes it so interesting.
All right, that's all for today. Until next time.